Russia is losing 1,000 soldiers a day in its relentless meat grinder tactics against Ukraine, report.
Here's a summary of the article.
An average of 1,000 Russian troops a day were killed or wounded in Ukraine in May amid waves of head-on attacks on Ukrainian defenses, US, UK, and other Western intelligence agencies said, according to the New York Times. The reported casualty increase in May came as Russia intensified its attacks on Ukrainian positions in the Kharkiv region, which borders Russia in northern Ukraine. Russia is sending troops into head-on high-casualty attacks, known as human wave or meat grinder attacks. The attacks were used by Russia in brutal battles to seize control of the towns of Avdiivka and Bakhmut last year, but US officials told The Times they are proving less successful now. US officials told The Times that Russia has been able to replenish its troop numbers, recruiting around 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers a month, while Ukraine is struggling to find new recruits. Russia has offered relatively lucrative contracts to new recruits, has drafted thousands of prisoners into the military, and has contracted foreign mercenaries to replace its losses. In September 2022, Russia drafted 300,000 civilians into the military, but it's unlikely that the Kremlin will need to launch another draft in the near future, US officials told The Times.
This post received a score of 17,000, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The absence of air superiority of either sides result in the bloodiest battle.
This is why we must always invest in research and the defense industry. The F-35, every other advanced capability we have, stands between us and trench warfare. When our 50-plus-year-old weapon systems give modern Russian equipment trouble, you've got to imagine what our modern shit will do.
Our modern shit could tear through everything they've got in a week.
How do you take out 500,000 spread-out people with machine guns with fighter jets and cruise missiles?
Destroy supply chains with air and then hold the line through machine guns and spread out soldiers and wait for attrition.
Not sure why people think a land invasion of Russia is a good idea. All you have to do is block off their supplies. The rest takes care of itself.
A good old-fashioned American naval blockade ought to do the trick.
Except for that pesky humongous land border. Or are we blockading China too in this scenario? Also, how do you blockade the Arctic?
I see World War II tactics are still being employed by our comrades.
Yup. Spend your young men's lives like water, just throw 'em away. That way there won't be enough young people to rebel when all the dust settles.
Killing off mainly the poor and minorities so it keeps the complaints down. Long-term Russia is fucked, their existing demographics issues got a whole lot worse, but that's not Putin's problem.
Don't worry, after Russia empties Siberia of all the minorities and loses the war, China will buy up all the land east of the Ural Mountains so that Russia has a chance in hell to pay off their debts.
Greater than don't worry, after Russia empties Serbia of all the minorities and loses the war. Did you mean Siberia? No, did he stutter? He meant Serbia. Putin is going to march his ass to Serbia, crossing Ukraine, Moldova and Romania to empty it of Serbians, which, believe it or not, are a minority in Russia, and then sell the country to China.
Our country's ass is already sold to China. They have their own police in some areas in Serbia, and a free ticket to make any ecological disaster by wish.
Man, their government is evil.
My take on this: Russia desperately wants a break but can't allow Ukraine to build up strength to refocus on the main battlefield. These attacks in Kharkiv are extremely costly, and you'd be right to call it sacrificing troops to keep the enemy from making tactical gains. All of this to try to overwhelm the Ukrainians while also bombing the civilians to try to force a ceasefire. Russia is desperate for a ceasefire and therefore they shouldn't get one. This is so obviously not working out for Russia, and I doubt the Russian people are feeling the same level of do or die that Ukrainians feel.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.